Hey, you fish freaks. Welcome to episode number 120 of the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast, your ultimate source for all things kayak fishing. Seth, we have a banger of a show tonight. We're going to be talking about the recent cheating tournament angler, how he was caught, how it transpired, and most importantly, what is next. But before we get there, I want to thank the sponsor of the KFO show, Dark Horse Tackle. If you love the show, want to support it, head over to darkhorsetackle.com. Seth, I was out on Gunnersville this past weekend for the KBF Nationals, and I was using the Dixon bladed jig that came in that box, and that's all they wanted with a Z-Man trailer. So love it. Love that I got it. Love that I got to test it out. So head over there if you love those like small batch lure companies, darkhorsetackle.com. One announcement before we hop in. Right now is the second round of the Kayak Angler magazine's Yak Off, and it's me against Paul Glass from the Aggressively Average Anglers. So if you don't mind, head over there. I need your vote. You can vote every day, and you can win prizes and all that good stuff. So I would love your vote every day between now and Sunday. Head over to kayakanglermagazine.com. I appreciate you guys so much. But Seth, tonight, unfortunately, we have another cheating scandal.
Really?
House, man. It's gone viral.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I know, right? It has social media. My gosh, It is crazy, right? There's a lot of information out there, how he did it. And what we know is this incident isn't actually even about money, right? It was over a $200 payout. So we'll get to that. There's a lot of information out there, some speculative, some hard facts. So instead of the sharing news, I want to bring the people who are actually part of that story along the way, had interactions with them. People have decades of experience in leading and fishing kayak fishing tournaments. And know the reason that I'm even doing this show tonight on this topic, I don't want to like tar and feather Jacob Hausman. He's getting plenty of that from the internet. I'm doing the show to help us better understand kayak tournaments, right? How they work, and discuss how we as tournament anglers, how collectively tournament directors across the country, and even what we can expect from our tournament management systems so we can mitigate risk moving forward. So this sport continues to stay fair, continues to stay clean, and continues to stay competitive. What do you think, boss?
Yeah. And uniquely, somehow this national story ties back to my hometown of Halifax, Pennsylvania, on the Susquehanna River. And I got buddies actually in the chat that know this guy, fish against this guy a bunch, and are know him pretty well based on the area that we live, just a few minutes from where he's from. So yeah, should be good, man. Should be good.
Well, to bring the panel, the cadre, we have 126 live right now. It's out of the gate. It's pretty awesome. So hit that like button. We'll get some extra yardage out of this later. But Drew Gregory, welcome to the show. Jody Queen, welcome to the show. John Tammaro, Chad Hoover. We have a full panel. Welcome, gents. How you guys doing tonight?
Chad looks like he wants to fight.
He does. Fight everybody.
Chad said he couldn't hear us, so good.
Oh, maybe that was the he was like, huh?
I love it.
He said he couldn't hear us, so who knows? He'll probably pop in here soon.
All right, so really quick, why everyone is on here. Of course, Drew Gregory has interactions with a particular angler. He wants to clear some things up, kind of share how there was actually DQ of fish and DQ of Hausman in his tournament. That was earlier in the summer. Jody Queen has interactions on the water. John Tammaro is the New York kayak bass fishing president, the one who this was all kind of transpired within his tournament. And I wanted to bring Chad on because I don't know anybody else who has a longer tenure in leading tournaments than him. And I'm just going to be asking questions along the way. And this is live, right? And so we are going to be taking comments, and there's a ton of comments. Hopefully, Seth, you're helping me out over there. We already have like 30 or 40 I haven't been able to look at yet. And we're just going to be walking through those. And so let's start and share a timeline, right? And I want to start this timeline. Jody, respect you. Actually, I just fished against you down at the KBF Nationals. And I know that you had an interaction on the water at Drew's tournament. And so I want you to kind of start the story for us and set the stage. And this is before he was actually caught of cheating. However, share kind of your interaction. And then we'll start and we'll go to Drew, and then we'll kind of go to John. Then we'll bring in Chad along the way. Let's get this party started.
Well, I guess I'll start at the very, very beginning, when everybody showed up at the ramp and we launched. And course, we're sitting in front of the ramp waiting for the time to leave the ramp, and I heard a couple of guys talking about the distance from the dam that they thought they had to stay. They wasn't sure. So I had a few minutes left, and before we took off, and I called Drew and I told him what we were discussing, and Drew said, "I'll get right back with you. I know somebody who knows this."
Okay.
So he calls me back with like 1 minute to go and says, "You got to stay 100 feet away from the dam." And I said, "Well, I'll make sure everybody here that's getting ready to take off knows that." And I hung up with him, and I told everybody, Drew just said, "Hey, we got to stay 100 feet away from the dam." And that was the conversation before we even left to fish the tournament.
How many anglers were at that ramp?
I think there was at least 5 of us there, maybe even 6. I'm not sure.
And how many people fished in that tournament?
Shoot, I only Drew
like
that.
there was a joint event with so many clubs. I don't know if you're talking about the total between all of them, but it was like 150 or something in
that's a lot.
In ours alone. I don't know. There was a lot, man. Probably 200 plus combined between all the events.
Okay.
I think there might be like 7 or 8 people even there.
There's a bunch there.
Yeah.
But we took off, and everybody was like taking their time. It's kind of, you had to navigate some rocks and stuff, but Houseman went straight to the dam, and everybody kind of laid back. And I was like, man, did he not get the memo or what? But he was fishing probably in the first 30 minutes of that tournament. He was already within 40 feet of the dam. And he went to the far end of the dam. There's a fish ladder for fish to go up and spawn. And he went all the way over to that corner. And then on his way back, he passed in front of me, and I yelled at him. And he turned, and I told him, I said, "Hey, you need to come back and stay away from the dam 100 feet. And he just threw his hand up and went on, which lit me up. And that's and I was like, all right, so I started recording him and taking pictures of his position there on the dam. And later that day, after everything was over, Drew was at the ramp, and I pulled in and I told him about it, and we went up in the parking lot and talked about it. And then he did what he had to do, which I'm proud he did. And he started looking into it, and I think he called the DNR, and I think he got disqualified for that day, if I'm not mistaken, right? Right, Drew? Didn't you?
Eventually, sure. But you got to do your due diligence. Just because an angler, of course, I'm not talking about Jody right here, just any angler says, I saw so-and-so do this or do that. Well, what do you want me to do? Just go and say, man, just you said that. No, I got to go find the facts. And
so
I said, Jody,
next morning, I went back to that ramp just to make sure that he wasn't going to go up there and do it again. And he went straight up there again. And when he did, I recorded some more and took some more pictures. And I came back to the ramp and got in the truck and was leaving to go to another ramp. And I called Drew, and Drew was already he was already like,
I passed you
from the ramp. Yeah, you passed me, and he was going down to fly drones to take pictures of it. And
well, I was actually just going down just to check on the situation, because we had stuff from day one. It wasn't really about day 2 for us. Wasn't about covering the event from a media standpoint with Jake Kepner and myself. It was about getting to the bottom of this situation, and one of the ways I could do that was be there again in person, just to double check. Even though after like you said, I reminded you guys with a push notification before the event. Again, not even my responsibility. My responsibility to respond to Jody's phone call and then look into it deeper, because they were unclear. But it's angler responsibility to know the laws and the rules, right, of your state. Right. This is just me going above and beyond. So I send a message to the anglers, and then I send go live right after that day. Revisit it again in my live, reminding people to stay 100 feet away. And then again, I send an email. And then the next morning, I sent a push notification for the anglers that were at that dam. And then I even did a phone call to some of the anglers once I got there that looked like they might be a little close. But one of course, which was Houseman. But anyway, the bottom line is, I went there on Friday, saw Hausman did an interview with them. Dude, we are fired up. Jake Kepner and I, we do not want to disqualify 100 inches smallmouth bass. Nobody does. That's awesome, dude. We were fired up that I have a shot on, of him catching one on drone. That was pretty exciting. He's measuring it, hold it up. We're fired up. We're high-fiving. Interview, all is great. And then I talked to Jody next at his interview. That's when I heard about, his concern. And again, how does Jody know exactly where 100 feet is? How does anyone know? Because there's no buoys out there. There's no cable going across the river. There's no, even if there were signs on either side, the river's so wide, it's hard to tell. Am I ahead of that sign? Or am I behind it? You know what I mean? So I took Jody's pictures and anything we had that we, with our drone or anything that we could find, and we had to go do research to figure out, okay, I mean, is this 100 feet? Is it not? I don't know. So we talked to the local game warden, and he, of course, confirmed once we finally talked to him. I didn't even get in touch with him until 1 o'clock, maybe 2 o'clock the next day. And Jody did exactly, I'll say this, he did exactly what we asked all the anglers to do. You actually first, you don't call me, you don't take Chad, you've said this in your meetings before, chat captain's meeting. Don't go, and if you see someone about to launch and they don't have their life jacket on because they forgot it, don't just sit there and wait with your camera to get a picture of them and catch them, right? And then be that guy. Say something first. Be the courteous, sportsmanship. And so he hollered at him because he felt he might have been inside 100, okay? That you did what you could do. And then after that, then take your pictures and videos, send us any proof, right? And then we looked into it. We were able to determine for sure based on, there's a plethora of layers here of verifications, but I'm not just going to even go. I didn't even feel comfortable necessarily disqualifying somebody because of the drone footage and the pictures. And I can go on Google Earth and I can see where that rock is. I can see where he is. I can measure the distance. That wasn't even enough for me. I wasn't going to DQ somebody on that, even though I can do that. But that's not like foolproof. You know what I mean? I needed the person who writes citations at that dam every single day of their life. They know where every rock is, how far away it is. I needed his confirmation. Plus, he's an independent third party who's neutral. He has no bias. Not that I do, but he has no bias. I had no idea who Jacob Hausman was before this event. I don't know him from anybody, okay? But I do know some of the anglers in the event, so it's nice to have the third party, right, that comes in, not just a third party, the expert and authority on that body of water, who is the game warden for that area, tell me that's inside 100, no doubt about it. So that confirmed it. That's why he was DQ'd. Of course, he then told me he needed the information of those two anglers. He had to cite them and write them a ticket. That takes a while to get in the mail. He had a bunch of other stuff he was doing, so it took a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. I don't know. I don't know. Don't care. It's not why he was disqualified. But anyway, so we disqualify him. We also have the Tourney X GPS data pins on Tourney X showing that he was inside 100, even where he was taking the pictures of his fish. Now, does anyone here think that was the closest he ever got was when he took his pictures of his fish? Why would you catch fish and then move toward the dam? Okay. It's beside the point. It doesn't matter. Wherever he took the pictures, they were inside 100. So all it took was one to be 99 feet that we could, you know what I mean? And we have several that were 80, 90, and that was not even from that was from the dam. And technically the signs, as you know, Jody, at that dam say from the boil. So anyway, it's actually the boil, which is probably another 5-7 feet where the whitewater ends. So no, man, it really was not fun for us. That's not what we got into this business to do. We just want people to have fun, have a good time. And that's it. And if that happens, then guess what? You're going to want to come back and fish more and have fun. And that's all we want you guys to do is just have a good time. Because if you have a good time, you as the anglers, everything else will work for the series. You know what I mean? Our sponsors will be happy. We'll be happy. Your families and your memories. So that's all we were wanting to do. So anyway, that's kind of what happened. And ever since then, there's been still more about this coming out. It's really pretty darn black and white. It's pretty darn simple. Plus, he admitted when he came back to the awards to Jake Hepner and I that he didn't know the law about the fish ladder. He couldn't be within 100 feet of the fish ladder. And the one picture, like Jody said, was right in front of it. So he admitted to Jake and I, okay, I broke the rule. You got me there. And we were like, you can show GoPro footage if you want. But he was like, yeah. And he just left. So we thought it's probably the last we'll hear of him because he finally understands you were way inside 100. We had to do this, and you just got to learn from it. And one angler was disqualified, and was obviously both were upset, but one was acted a lot different for sure. And has owned up to it and understood, and the other one not so much.
So a couple things. Series events. Day 1, you DQ'd the fish. Day 2, you DQ'd the angler. Is that correct?
Well, once we found out he was inside 100, and we had pictures from both days showing that, then they were both. But here's what's even crazier. I, as a tournament angler, I went over there, I called him, and then just to make him aware, right, of the situation, that we have some photos that could, I don't know yet. I'm not the, I don't know. I'm not the game warden. I don't have, I got to make sure I verify this, but there's a chance. And I told him there is a chance your fish from day 1 might be disqualified. So as you're in the water and it's whatever, what was it, Jody, 8, 9 a.m., something like that, 8, 9 a.m. So when I call them, I say, both anglers, I called them both. I said, guys, this is a courtesy call. There's a chance, I don't know, that your day 1 fish are DQ'd. Now you had 100 inches. That's a lot of 19 plus fish, right? So I said, so don't throw back 15, 16, 17s, 18s thinking you don't need them, because your fish from today might still count. If you stay, further away than 100 feet, we might still be able to count today's fish. But we have evidence from both days that's verified, time stamped, like the metadata. Like, I don't know. This is, if you can see how frustrated I am, guys, I'm telling you, I've been dealing with this. My mind just wants to explode that someone could admit literally in front of witnesses to this. And I think he was just, maybe some people behind the scenes were enabling him or something. I don't know. Or thinking, I just don't know how anyone thinks that they have any sort of right or case that they, and he did ask he asked if he could appeal. I said, well, you have an outstanding, citation based on what the officer told me. He's writing them a citation. You have a citation coming. There's no tournament in the history of anywhere that lets you break the law in a tournament, especially a fishing law, not just like a speeding from one ramp to the other, an actual law on the water, and somehow still, let's just let these awards go ahead and award all the money. And then, you know what a cluster that would have been? Like, of course not. So I did tell him, I said, hey man, I can't let you appeal this right now because you have a citation, and that won't be cleared up until you either pay it and admit, the wrongdoing, or you go to court and fight it and somehow prove to the state that you were not inside 100 feet. And so he did ask to be reinstated when his case got dismissed because the charges were dropped because the officer failed to show up to court. Now good for him. He saved $150 or whatever it is, but that is not the reason why he was disqualified, because the DQ and the officer, in an email, he apologized profusely. He said he reported himself to his superior. He forgot to put it on his calendar. And he literally wrote me the statement saying that this is not a proof of innocence at all. This is simply that there was that I wasn't there. So you have to try. It's like 1,000 people can show up and say that Seth was speeding, but if the officer doesn't show up, charges get dropped just because he's not there. He's the one with the evidence. And some people are saying, why didn't we show up? And we have all this proof. And it's like, I don't need to show up. I've given the officer, who's the one who is obviously the one has to be to present the evidence to the court. I don't even know when the case was. Nobody even told me when this court case was. I don't even know. I mean, I never think this officer's not going to show up, but either way, it doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. The officer is just a person there. It's actually great. I didn't want these guys to get a citation or a ticket. I was hoping they wouldn't, but he just confirmed he was inside 100 feet, and that's all we needed really from him.
So I was going to ask you the question, what would make someone feel so emboldened to ask for a reinstatement? But you covered that. He got the ticket. What you're saying, he felt it was dismissed. Technically, it was never dismissed because it was never actually put before a judge. It was only dismissed because the officer never showed up. All right. So a couple questions I have for you, Drew, from when you were talking. You mentioned something about Tourney X pins.
Yeah.
And you made it sound like, that was definitive proof. And if it was definitive proof, then why wasn't it used in the moment? So that's something that threw a flag in my hand. I'm curious on how that works with Tourney X, and maybe I'm getting it wrong.
No, I think we did use that in the moment. We had that just before the awards, because here's the thing, guys. You want all this before awards. You want the awards to be accurate and proper and correct. You don't want to ruin someone's moment by having to go back and fix a bunch of stuff. So that's why I applaud Jody and all the anglers, and that's why the Kayak Adventure Series is presented by GoPro. We're trying to ask more anglers to film. It captures more eyes on the water. Will capture, either prove your innocence or prove or show someone that was guilty in something, and there's no debate, no more he said, she said. It's just very simple. Send it straight to me, and then the tournament director or whoever that is for whatever event, and let them see it, and then they can decide and determine whether or not. So anyway, it was used. We did get those pins in time. Again, I wasn't even actually, you guys may not remember this, but I told everyone, and that's the truth, I did not have access to any of the pins because I might fish, a Bassmaster event on the Susquehanna this next year, and I didn't want anyone's pins. Not that I freaking care. Okay, I've never got information from anybody. Don't care. It's the joy to me is exploring and adventuring and finding my own fish. Okay, if you take that away from me, some people it's about the money or whatever, and they just want to get the information and catch the fish. To me, it's about that adventure and that exploration. But anyway, they Dwayne was able to pull those for me, send them to me with the measurement. Yeah, Dwayne Wally from Tourney X was able to send them and had the measurements on there and the pins so we could actually see they were, and it wasn't from the boil, it was from the dam. So it was just pretty darn. I just don't even. I don't know. So why someone was asking for reinstatement? I think it was his right to ask for the reinstatement because he I think maybe at the awards or something on the stage, I said something because only for simplification purposes. I wasn't going to go into some big long story and draw more attention to it, but I had to tell everyone, why is the guy who had 100 inches not on stage holding the trophy? Yep. Josh Brewer, he wins. And I'm like, not Hausman. So everyone needed an explanation. So maybe I said something like, we talked to the DNR guy, the Fish and Boat Commission. He said he confirmed it. A neutral third party confirmed it. And then we had the turn, maybe that's all I said. And I said, and unfortunately those guys are getting a citation. So, that kind of like, that's that. Everyone understood that. Like you get a citation for fishing too close to the dam, you're DQ'd. So I wasn't going to go into all the details on stage. There's just no point in it. Sure. So I think he thought maybe that was the only reason he was disqualified, was because so he got it dismissed and then he wanted to go back. Because I did tell him, I said, hey man, you're welcome to go back and come back to me once you get these charges, not dismissed, but proven your innocence. Okay. But there's no trial. So he never had a chance to do that. But anyway.
But it doesn't matter because he told you in person that he knew.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what's
right. So it's self-admission of guilt. That's beside the point. That's why I'm asking, why would someone tell the tournament director, yes, I knew I was within 100, and then ask for reinstatement? That's what blows my mind. Two, just for fun, why is the rule within 100 feet from this dam and the fish ladder? Does it protect some type of, is it safety. Or is it literally, okay. So this is not a usual dam. It's my understanding, right? It's not like a low head dam. This acts differently. It's actually more dangerous. Yes, no.
It's an inflatable dam, actually. And the reason why you were able to gain access to the front of the dam so closely was because of the water level. Level was really super low, and the bull was only, like Drew said, probably 5, 7, 8 feet off the dam, and it allowed people to actually travel up really, really close, right off the front of the dam. And I guess it was just too tempting for him, and he knew those fish were in there. I knew those fish were in there. I mean, I sat there and watched them catch them.
That brings up a good point, actually. So he was catching his fish. Okay, I want to make this clear from KS. We've never released anything, any evidence. I only sent this officer like maybe 4 or 5 photos because we needed to get to the bottom of this fast. So I sent him like the 4 or 5 the quickest ones I could find from all the places that we gathered, whether it was other anglers or ourselves with my iPhone or the drone or whatever. I just sent him like 5, and he confirmed in those pictures. There is so much more that we, obviously is out there, and we've never released anything. The only thing that ever got released is, of course, the pictures. I think that maybe your pictures, Jody. Yeah. Right. Because you sent them to Abby and Abby posted them online. And so we are, as an organization, we're going to protect all of our anglers. We never have said Jacob cheated in this tournament. He broke a rule infraction, whether he quote unquote cheated. Okay. Obviously in light of recent, things that have come out, you guys in the court of public opinion can probably like decide that for yourselves, but there's no way to prove that the intent of someone's heart or their head, if he knew he was inside of 100 and was doing it on purpose to gain an advantage or not. I will never, ever say he cheated in our tournament, and never have. He just
hold up, because this doesn't make any sense, Drew, because you just told me he admitted to you that he knew that he was within 100 feet. Therefore, he
didn't know. He said he didn't know you could be that close to a fish ladder. He didn't know about the fish ladder law being 100. He didn't know. So if he, you know what I mean? So basically I'm saying like, let's do it. Put it like this.
Homie fishes like the Susquehanna likes his job. And so I'm not speculative. Like you'll never know his heart, but
yeah,
I personally have a hard time believing. But I understand that you as a tournament director, you're at a different position.
Yeah, I'm never going to say, but here's why. Let's say Matt Ball, for example, okay, or anybody. Let's say Matt Ball broke that rule as well and it was inside 100 and broke that rule. Would you guys want? He's a good, upstanding angler. We all know Matt. It could be anybody. Would you want people out there? Would you want the tournament organization using the word Matt Ball cheated when there's no way to prove that if he knew it or not? Like you can't just go say stuff like that as a tournament organization because you got to protect all your anglers and treat them all the exact same. They're numbers. I know all you guys individually, or not all you guys, but some of you guys for sure. And to me, when we're running events, you're a number to me. I don't know your face, who you are, anything. All I know is facts and data. So that's what's insane to me. If anyone has any proof or any facts or data out there that prove he's innocent or otherwise, don't you think that they would just release that to the public and let the court of public opinion just blast us? Like, how dare you disqualify this guy? You can see right here. And you know what I mean? Like we would never be around. There would be no tournament organizations in existence if they just keep disqualifying people willy-nilly. And then the people come out and post the proof that they didn't do what the director's saying they did to disqualify them. We wouldn't exist. So if that proof exists, anybody could post it publically, but it doesn't exist.
I can understand your position as a tournament director.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people in the comment section that have a different opinion. Sure. So that's fine. Last question before we move on, or actually start gathering a bunch of other just opinions or thoughts that other people on the panel have. You said you ask your anglers to do a release video. Do you ask or require?
Mine? A release video? I don't have any release video.
I thought you said you asked them to record.
No. There's incentives to record. There's benefits to recording.
Yeah, that's the question. Do you ask them or do you require? So you just ask them and you incentivize. You
incentivize it, and the reason is so we can show these videos at the theater, right, for the awards, where most of them are theaters. That one was like a cool, like a restaurant bar, and then it's also this exact example. Okay, so because this is how Kayak Adventure Series started. I was protested in a Bassmaster tournament, and then I was disqualified because you look at the pictures and the videos that they show the tournament director to disqualify me, and you can see how did anyone get past those logs, and like how could someone possibly do that in a kayak without getting out? And the rules is you got to stay in your kayak in Bassmaster. So the tournament director had no choice but to disqualify me. And then I said, well, I have proof. He said, well, you can appeal. So I did, and I've showed it. When that moment happened, and I was able to take the exact logs that they sent Bassmaster, take my exact GoPro footage from the tournament, show how I went around this root ball, because if you don't fish the way I fish, you don't know, and you don't have a small kayak, you don't know to even look like you can go a little bit, like right around that little root ball. There's a width of a little bit wider than a kayak, and I zipped right around it. And this other log, I went underneath it. You know what I mean? Like just slid underneath it. It's not that hard. You just need a little small, like a little crescent shoaly or whatever I had that day, and the skill set to understand how to do that. And they didn't. So I understand. I've always said that was a great protest. Like I thought it was fantastic, because when you look at those logs, it does not look like someone can get past. So sure. That caused me to say, this is the key to it. It salvaged my, I think, reputation, because I was able to prove and win that appeal. And people understood that, okay, because people were questioning me. You know, remember, Chad, I was at the national championship and we didn't have a resolution on that yet. It was like in the limbo. And I can feel the eyeballs burning me down, dude, staring me down like maybe this guy, because it's my third win in a row. You better raise some eyebrows when someone wins 3 tournaments in a row. What's that? 2.
When it was mine, it was your second in a row.
Third. Yeah,
oh my gosh.
Number 2 Drew. Because my third Bassmaster, actually, it was like my 5th tournament in a row, because I swept the KBF on Lake Champlain. So technically, it was like my 5th win in a row, like literally in a row. Well, you better raise some eyebrows, dude. But I have my GoPro always running, so I can prove if anyone questions anything, I can prove it. Now, look, there wasn't the same hammers in the Bassmaster Kayak Series there is now, okay? Let's don't get crazy. I was 50, 60, 70 people maybe in some of these events. There's still some hammers, trust me. Guillermo, Christine, Mark Edwards that year, lots of great anglers were in those events, but it's not what it is today. But still, you better raise an eyebrow, whether it's 20 people or 120. If someone wins that many in a row, that you should. But if you got the footage and you have all your fish cast to catch, what can anyone say other than maybe it can't solve the problem of did he get information when he wasn't supposed to, stuff like that. But the GoPro and action camera can solve so much of this drama. And that's why I'm saying if he could absolve himself from any of this, if he had the footage to prove speaking of which, before I leave this, if anyone had any other photos or videos of any other anglers as close as he was, because there's people now saying, well, everybody is that close. Do what Jody did, what I asked you guys to do. If you see that, that's on you. Send it to me. Within the protest period, 48 or 40 hours for KAS, nobody sent anything because it doesn't exist. It didn't happen. Or if it did happen, you didn't take a picture. You didn't do what Jody did. So what can I do about it? Nothing. You can't come to me months later and then say like, oh, well, I've got footage from this. It's like, okay, you should have reviewed that. There's a process to all this, guys. It's really not that hard.
All right. I appreciate Jody, Drew, walking us through kind of the beginning of this timeline. We're going to kind of move up to current. But before we go there, Seth, I know I see you starring some comments over there. Well, if you have a question, go ahead and ask that. We'll get that in just a moment. But Chad, John, Seth, or Jody, do you have any commentary or anything that you thought of or a question for Drew before we move on? Yep, Chad.
So, like Drew, I'm probably one of the people on the panel that has the most insight into what it feels like to be a tournament director in high-pressure tournaments. I've probably tournament directed more high-pressure tournaments in kayak fishing than anybody. So you have to make those decisions. In fact, it's kind of funny that you've done two badass things in this scenario. If you pissed off Jody Queen and you got Drew Gregory to question boundaries, you've done something. Because Jody Queen is the hardest somebody in the world to piss off, and Drew Gregory pushes the envelope on boundaries more than anybody I know. In fact,
legally,
yeah, I had to paddle 21 miles up a goddamn river one time to prove that Drew could do what he did, because back then we didn't have cameras, and everybody said he couldn't have got to the river from the lake. And I said, I bet you he could. And they said, I bet you he can't. So I went and paddled it, and I told Drew, hey, on day 3, you are fishing under protest. Somebody has protested you. Tomorrow, while you're fishing, I'm going to go paddle your route unless you're fishing there. He said, I'm going somewhere else. And I went and paddled the route. And at the captain's meeting, I said, Drew did not break the rules. But prior to that, everybody thought, oh, he broke the rules, right? There's no way he's winning like this, blah, blah, blah. So as a tournament director, you have to protect the integrity of your anglers. I protect the integrity of my anglers by requiring a release video, and we're in our 5th year of requiring a release video. That release video is not just to protect you against the other anglers, it's to protect you if another angler claims something against you. One thing that I will say that I think is a gray area that we all need to lock down as tournament directors, but safety and boundaries shouldn't be a lose your fish that day deal. If you violate a safety protocol, or you fish out of bounds, you should be done for the event. So there shouldn't even have been a day queue. Or you should tell the guy, like I told Drew, hey, you've been protested out of bounds. If it is proven that you were fishing out of bounds, you're done for the event, but go fish today in case it's not, and then you're good to go, right? So that's the only point out of this whole thing that I disagree with. I don't think you should lose the fish from the day you were out of bounds. I think you should lose them altogether. Now, that being said, Drew can't say this, because he's the tournament director for this event. But here's what I'll say. I'll say it on behalf of everybody that doesn't want to say it. I'll say it on behalf of all the people texting me saying, oh, man, don't say anything because there's a legal issue going on, and you maybe don't want to say anything because this guy's very litigious. I don't give a uck about how litigious this guy is, okay? Whether you like me or you hate me, the one thing that you will always get from me is the same thing, consistency. I have fished the Susky. I knew what the boils were before this event even happened. You can't fish that shit on accident. I'm sorry. I'll say it because nobody else can say it. And if you did, you wouldn't catch fish, because the lower the water gets, the tighter the bubble gets for where you're catching fish. So the proof that you were fishing inside 100 feet is the fact that you're catching fish. Because if you're not, it's 200 fucking yards before you can catch fish. So the fact that you're catching that quality of fish means you were inside the 100 feet. That's why it's out of bounds. And that's why everybody else ain't up there with you, because they read the rules. They looked at it. They assessed the situation and said, well, doesn't make any sense to try to fish right there, since the only place you can really catch the fish is by the fish ladder or up against the dam where you can't be. So to me, he can play dumb all he wants to. You knew you were inside that 100 yards. And then the fact that the tournament director, and Drew went so far as to send out a message letting everybody know to don't do it, and then he went back and did it again, shit. I would have been encouraging them to write him 7 tickets and hope he got them. I would have showed up to court just on principle. I would have called that cop and said, bitch, you better have your alarm set because I'm going to be there with you tomorrow morning, because he defied the integrity of tournament fishing by going back there the second time, and he puts all this heartache and all this frustration on people that are trying to do the right thing. Drew works his ass off to put these events on, and as a tournament director, if you got 100 people, each person should get 1/100th of your attention. This guy got 100/100ths of your attention during that time, which means you could not focus on the event, and everybody else got robbed of their event tournament director being able to do the best he could for them, instead of focusing on this clown who was trying to do everything that he could. And to me, if you put that message out, that warning out on day 1, and he even came close to doing it on day 2, come on, man.
It hurt Jody and the other anglers, because those are fish that they could have caught. They maybe could have caught. You know what I mean? Because he's getting them, Anyway.
Yeah, I spent all day fishing dead water because of that, and I went back there on day 2 because I wanted to make sure that he wasn't going to do it again, and he did it again. So yeah, it affected my tournament, but it was worth it.
And here's the other thing:
it was worth it to me. It was worth it to me to get him DQ'd.
I swore I wasn't going to get like this on this video. I like stretched before this video so I wouldn't do what I'm about to do. But the fact that this dude was so toxically disrespectful to other anglers, talking shit to them, basically on social media, blasting them, flaunting his fishing prowess against everybody else, and then talking smack about Drew's judgment after the fact, and then basically, the text messages that I've been sent of how he's saying, oh, I'm gonna nail him to the wall if he can't prove this. No, dude, this guy is not just a cheater. He's a toxic, arrogant piece of shit that we do not need in our sport. Period.
Yeah, I threw a comment up there a little early. Sorry about that, Chad.
Tell us how you really feel, Chad.
Yeah, right.
Always.
Yeah, this is actually
something
here. This Jared's from my hometown of Halifax, right on there in the Susquehanna. So they know this guy pretty relatively close in some of the events he fished. So the people listening in stated he planned that all along. Leading up to the event, he fished every launch downstream from the dam and intentionally beat up those fish. He called it playing defense. And I think we'll get into it a little bit later, but he not publicly, but he tells people these things close in that area that fish the local events. He tells them things, and we'll get into some of those details a little bit later of things that he shared, but it kind of just goes to show what Chad was saying about the type of person he is. So honestly, it's not surprising when we get into the details of other things he did, which everyone's seeing in outdoor life and Wire to Fish and all that. Yeah. It's not surprising.
What Chad said too, it's like just sad that it's like taking so much of my time, and not just at the event to cover the event, but now even past the event. And like, dude, you know what happens? Like I need to be working on sponsorship development for 2026. I got to be doing all these things to make KS even better and more fun for the 99.9% of people out there that are amazing in our sport. And that I just really appreciate everyone out there. But here's the thing. What it does when I have to spend more time on that, I still have to get this stuff done for KS. You know who this really hurts and who suffers the most? And it really pisses me off more than anything? My kids and my wife. Because I have to spend extra time now making up for that time that this is costing me. And I got a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old up there and a wife I would love to spend so much more time with. And this keeps sucking more of my time. So I'm so frustrated at that more than anything. Because they're the most important thing to me. And this is my off season when I'm supposed to be having more time with them. And I'm still doing stuff like this about something that's so open and shut. What Wendell said, he literally admitted to us he didn't know the rule. He broke the rule. Okay. So what are we still doing here, man? Like, I guess the new stuff that's come to light, but it's just bothers me so much. And I will say also for people that there are a few people out there who were so gullible who believed a story and believed things that weren't at the event, who believed things he said that enabled him and continued to keep this going. That like he has some case or he's been wronged or maybe he was the one. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. All I know is that this is all verified and triple checked and like I go on data and facts. So if you were not, I'm just gonna say this as a blanket statement on behalf of Chad and Steve Owens and everybody who's a tournament director, Gene, Mike, at TKS, everyone. If you were not at the event, you were not Jody there witnessing what happened. If you're not an angler in the event, if you're not a tournament, another tournament director that was doing a joint event or a judge, if you weren't a part of this event, please stop contacting us about stuff that you just heard. And if you do contact me about it, that's fine. Bring some proof, bring some data, and that's fine. I'll look at that. But if you just want to keep blabbing stuff, and then when I tell you, hey man, literally zero, like nothing you're telling me. I mean, nothing. God, I want to cuss so bad right now. I mean, and you guys know me. Nothing you're saying is true. You're getting this from the person who was disqualified, who's trying to save a reputation, an image, and you're believing him over me, and that's fine. But when I tell you nothing is true, don't just keep going on the internet and blabbing that stuff when I've told you nothing's true. Leave me alone. Stop talking to me. Stop messaging me. Stop doing videos about it, because that becomes something that you are then liable for defamation. I will never say he cheated in this event. I will treat everyone fairly. I respect all you guys that fish the events. I don't care what your past is like, good, bad, or ugly. I don't care. I'm going to treat you all fairly. But that just pisses me off that people that aren't even in this event think they know stuff, and they don't know anything because they weren't there, and they're believing.
I want to say one thing before you move on. Listen, to anybody who wants to enter this sport, this is the exception and not the rule. Okay,
absolutely.
There are thousands, literally thousands of people who fish these tournaments that are on the up and up and don't cheat. This is not a regular occurrence I've seen it. I've seen everybody posting on the pages. Name me a kayak tournament someone hasn't cheated. I can name plenty of them. These are things that happen that they're going to happen. There are those people out there who do this thing. And also, I hope that any other platforms for recording fish will pick up what Fishing Chaos is doing with the location services, because you would have known immediately when that guy was within so many feet of that dam with those services that Fishing Chaos is doing right now. And when we first experimented with this was this last weekend with the KBF championships. And at first I was like, man, I don't know if I want to know where everybody knows, but I'm going to tell you, this blew my mind because it would have taken care of all of that.
So what Jody's referring to is something we're going to talk about at the end of the show, right? It's going to be the positive kind of jumpstart and what we should expect from our tournament management systems moving forward and the technology available to us to help level that playing field. But before we get there, I appreciate you saying that, Jody. I'm going to have Chad.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all good. People are popping in and out of the podcast all along. We're under 190 live right now. Hit that like button if you're getting some value out of this. But we're going to head over to some of the comment section, and then I'm going to hand it over to John. He's going to pick it up, and really the one who probably has a lot to say about this. And instead of just the rumor mill, you're going to hear it straight from the tournament director that this cheating happened in. All right. So we got James Griffith said you should have buoys out for markers. That is an interesting thing, right? If you're going to have the rule, stay 5, I've seen those before, stay 500 feet, stay 100 feet. And everyone kind of like typically just push the limits. Like, I don't know what's 100 feet. So I get that. I like it. Here's a good question from Matt's Fishing Mission. Drew, this one's for you.
Yeah.
Someone who cheated and was booted from the Creek Freaks tournament was also in your Midwestius tournament. My question, do you want notified if a confirmed cheater from another trail gets in?
Oh, 100%. We have no way. Kind of like some people saying like, you guys just let people all over the internet just say whatever they want about this guy. You know, when we just said he broke a rule and that's it. And people obviously went off and used the word cheater and all that stuff. It's like, I can't control and look at, all that stuff. I've got, like I said, I got kids, dog, I got a house, I got a car, I got all this stuff going on. I can't do it. Same thing with someone entering the tournament. If someone enters our tournament, I don't know what their local background and past is, so it's up to the anglers to help us like vet this. If you see somebody in a tournament that you know was disqualified from another event, not because they broke a rule, again, they cheated, I definitely want to know about it, because then I'm going to talk to that tournament director. I'm going to call up Chad, call up whoever, the local club director, whoever it may be, and ask them what the situation was so we know, and then make a decision based on that. So
is
absolutely.
there, I'm going to freaking create a blacklist if there's not. Is there a list out there that all tournament directors confirmed, legitimate, that everyone kind of can go to say, oh, here's the latest confirmed cheating incidents? Is there anything out there like that, Chad, Drew, John, that you know of?
I mean, I have one for KBF, and I put people on it from other clubs. And if anybody confirms it, like when John called me, I added the gentleman to our blacklist. But I don't know that there's an official, universally accepted blacklist.
We know the main big ones, of course. Like, we just know them in our head. So, yeah, there's no list. I know, but that's not a bad idea. Wendell, we can get that started.
No,
Sure,
I think it'd be interesting.
Say
that again, John.
Chuck Earl,
just like a Google Doc that anybody can pull up, just to something like that. That only only a tournament director, or only one or two people can actually edit, but everybody can just kind of pull up and run their roster against it real quick when they're nervous about something or not sure.
Yeah. Or a distribution list. Anytime someone's added to it, you just send out the email distribution. Hey, just let everyone know in this tournament, this is what happened.
Yeah.
If you need to talk to that person,
exactly.
go for it. That probably needs to happen. All right. Moving on from that. Jody, what were you saying about Chuck Earls?
He actually made a post today where he suggested that. Why don't we start either an app or a database to show people who've been in legal battles with cheating? Yeah.
Would people just try to enter events under different names then, or how would that? Is that possible? They could do that.
I mean, they might, but when it comes time for payouts, what are they going to do?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you got to catch them somehow. Have some way to like that gets flagged too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Another comment over here from John G. Wilson. How can someone feel good about themselves, proud by winning a tournament by cheating? I don't have that kind of conscience. I get that. Musgrove Outdoors. He registered for a TKS event for the next weekend. We called him and told him he was ineligible based on the DQ. On the call, he admitted to be rightfully being DQ'd, and then he defended his actions online.
Yeah, all these stories too. They're made up. Like somebody said, again, maybe there's a few people that somehow believed him and went publicly with things. Like they said stuff like 4 minutes of our live streamed awards that went to 5 different locations live stream were edited out where we defamed him on stage. Don't you think if that existed, people with cell phones, anyone would have recorded that? Like, how do you even edit out a live stream when it goes to 5 on here on StreamYard? It goes to 5 places at once. So much bogus stuff that's taken up so much of my time, and it's insane. It's so defamatory. It's not even funny, but nobody even cares or listens or watches these other people. So I guess no one really.
Oh, and I know Chad has something to say about defamation.
I just personally love the fact that I hope that they got a little Tony seasoning to put on that shoe when they put it in their mouth for all the people that were defending this dude before John's stuff came out, because there was a bunch of dudes that were throwing people in group texts and were saying stuff and all this other craziness. And then shitting on Drew.
They need to apologize.
And the series and talking about Jake and all that, not Drew's Jake, not the other, But I just hope right now that they're slow chewing that foot, I just hope they're just slow chewing, just kind of slobbering past the end of their foot. I hope it's so far down their throat that,
Nice visual.
Even if after they reached out to me and I said, nope, that's not true. None of it's true. Like if this actually ever went to legal anything and there was like a discovery, I'm trying to protect you guys. You don't understand how much I've been trying, and Jay Kepner and I, we've protected with, how much evidence and stuff we have that we could have released this whole time. Like I'm not going to the court of public opinion. You guys online, we're doing, saying so much stuff. And again, I want to reiterate this. We obviously know this recent circumstance, whatever, it was clear and blatant cheating. But back when this happened with our event, again, I didn't know his history, what people claim or what didn't claim, whatever. I don't know. Don't care. I just told you he broke a rule. So when you go online and I just said this guy was disqualified for breaking a rule, I don't appreciate you guys anyone out there calling someone a cheater when that was our official stance, because you cannot prove that. And that is a violation of our code of conduct and sportsmanship, which this is a good point. Another time to bring up, but someone said, you're just letting people say whatever they want online. Well, send us a screenshot of what someone said. So I know, so I can reach out to them and give them a warning or disqualify them from future tournaments or whatever. And Jody, you remember I got a call from Abby right after that, because Abby's in the tournament too. He's a great angler. He's obviously fired up. He's in the event. No one likes to see someone getting an advantage in the event, right? Of course. But I had all I needed from you. I don't need a call from Abby and telling me like, Jody's hot, whatever. And so I told Abby, I said, look, man, and he understands now why I had to do what I had to do. I said, look, buddy, I have all I need from Jody. He's the angler who witnessed it. You weren't there. He sent it to me. Let me do what I have to do to determine if it was under 100 or not. You just focus on spooling reels and rigging up for tomorrow, buddy. Don't worry about it anymore. And this is kind of like a warning to just, so I gave anglers some warnings about just stay off, claiming this, claiming that. And anyway, the court of public opinion was certainly hammering it pretty hard. And maybe there were people who had seen or known stuff or whatever that in the past that I guess had something to do with why they kind of, that was a little excessive that he got banned from other clubs for 2 years and all this stuff, when I literally just saw a guy who just was inside 100 feet and he broke a rule. So something else was going on. I can't comment on any of that in the past, but I just wanted to make that statement too. Like, that's almost as bad for the sport when people get out there. Milstead, again, great job and all this stuff. Great angler, like the guy, but he you guys were using the word a lot, like cheater. He cheated, and that's not, in our tournament at least, that's not our official stance at all.
Well, I don't think you also can't discount those anglers' passion for the sport either. And a lot of times we get it, like Chad said, it takes a lot to get me mad, but when I get mad, I'm a different person. But
yep.
Got
there's
that
a
West
lot
Virginia
of
mad. You got that West Virginia mad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people in this sport who have a lot of passion, and when you're talking about their friends, and the first thing they're going to do is jump to the defense. So
oh yeah,
exactly. I understand where you're coming from, but I'm going to tell you right now, if Abby sees something wrong, he's going to make sure it gets fixed.
Yeah.
And I think you handled that right, and he understood afterwards. But
I get that.
You don't expect that.
Yep. It's like the NFL in a high heated playoff game. The NFL refs are going to let a little pushing and shoving going before they don't want to keep throwing 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. They're going to let a little bit of that. They get it. There's a heated situation. Let's just ask them to calm down first, and then if they keep going, then we'll throw the flag. Which again, this situation in our event only. I can only speak to that. We'll get to this other stuff, I'm sure, here now probably soon, but. Yep. This was like a pass interference or a holding penalty. It's a penalty. It's not cheating. It's not steroids. You know what I mean? It's not steroids. It's a completely different situation. So, yeah. Anyway, we can move on, Wendell, or wherever you want to go, man.
No, it's good. I appreciate your stance, but I also understand the stance of everyone else who may have been fishing against this guy for 3 years and then found out about that he actually was a cheater and then applied that retrospectively. I can see how they could use that word, because they knew something smelled bad. But you have a tournament director point of view, and other people have their opinion. They're rightfully allowed to that. It's not defamation.
Right, and I can't control what people say online. So that brings up another point. I want all you guys to chime in on this. People need to be aware. This is a great platform to say this to everybody. If you want to get into national kayak fishing tournaments or any of these tournaments that you are in the public eye, especially in these big national tournaments, if you want to get into this and you expect to win, no matter if you cheated or not cheated, people are going to say things about you because how could he have done this or whatever. They're going to make, it's like anybody out there. If you are good, you're going to get these sort of accusations, whether it's Jacob Wheeler or whoever out there has been accused. Oh, surely he did this or that, or all these people. So you better learn to have thick skin, because that's going to happen. And this is going to be a part of it. All right. Beware.
We're going to move over to John here in a second. I got a few more people who have some comments. I want to get to those. Like, it was interesting in the Outdoor Life or the Wired to Fish article today. They even stated in there was rumors that this kayak was actually even stolen. And in fact, in the comment section right now, Jody, you're laughing. The guy said it was stolen from him.
No, I'm laughing because of the lengths that he was with. on the go, and he did it with a stolen kayak. That's just too fit.
This guy Doug Spock right now in the comment section said it was stolen from me. It's his famous green kayak, and it wasn't just like him speculating. He said he stole it, and then he admitted it to him that he did it. Stole it off a riverbank, had it tied up.
Yeah.
Pretty wild and crazy. Seth?
And that's one of my buddies from back home in Halifax, right on the Susquehanna River, Doug Spake. And what makes it worse is when that was stolen from him, and Doug obviously at that time didn't know it was Jacob, and he went without a kayak for a period of time and couldn't fish for a few weeks. And Jake knew at that time that Doug could not fish these events and couldn't fish for those few weeks, and yet still kept that kayak to himself. And then obviously we know what happened to that green kayak. And Doug was pretty surprised when he saw it in the pictures. He recognized it right away. So yeah, that's where the kayak came from, Mr. Doug Spake.
All right, we're gonna keep this conversation moving along. I can't believe we're almost at an hour. 184 live right now. Please hit that like button if you're not done so yet. John, this kind of backstory brings us to the main event, and you are at the center. I am sure you've been the most popular person. You got Outdoor Life reaching out. You got Wired to Fish reaching out. You got me. You got probably 70 other podcasts, and people want to interview you. How's your week been, brother?
Yeah, I mean, Alex Rudd wanted me to come on after I get off this, so I'm.
We're not letting you
go. I've been pretty busy. Yeah, it's been a wild week. It all started for me last Sunday. So not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before. Gentleman from PA Bass Nation reached out to me. Explained kind of the whole thing that happened with Drew's tournament. I knew there was something like fishy that happened in Drew's tournament, but Josh Brewer, who ended up winning, is one of my anglers, and like that's all I cared about was one of my guys got one on the national stage. So I was just super stoked about that. Didn't really look into it, but so this guy from Pennsylvania Bass Nation reaches out to me, explains the whole situation. Says basically that when they started telling him that he was banned, DQ'd from all the events that happened that day, he started threatening to sue everybody if he wasn't reinstated. Basically what Drew had said, and basically a gentleman from PA Bass Nation said that when he did that, it kind of pissed all of them off, so they started digging more into him and going through his social media and going through every submission that he had submitted on tournaments. And in doing that, they found a picture of the biggest smallmouth he had in our June month long.
Is that it?
Him holding it on this picture on top there. He posted that, I believe, on July 16th, if I remember the dates exactly. July 16th. And they said it looks like it's the same fish to us. We've had a couple other guys look through it. We think it's definitely the same fish. Letting you guys know about it because it's your tournament. We, just want you guys to look at it. I said, okay, that's great. I'll look into it. I did just like you did there with the Outdoor Life, or whoever did that. Did put them side by side like that and sent them to a couple.
Big old red spot. That's telltale.
Yeah. Sent it to a couple people and didn't tell them what the situation was. Just said, is this the same fish? And I got back from a couple people right away, 100% that's the same fish. So at that point, I was like, okay, well, I don't know if he was, fishing in a kayak, but near his buddy with a boat, and he just jumped on the boat to get a good picture or what. So I started doing, my research into it. And I think maybe Tuesday following the Sunday, I was made aware of it. This guy from Pennsylvania, Josh Sims, reached back out to me, said that Steve Owens and some people at Bass had looked over the two pictures. They say 100% it's the same fish. They can't find any evidence of Photoshop. 100% it's the same fish, same day, everything, everything lines up. So at that point, I basically had decided that I'm going to DQ that fish and see where that moves him on the leaderboard. but we're gonna, because he's already threatening to sue everyone at all involved in this. I'm gonna take my time and I'm gonna like do a thorough investigation, document everything. Talk with my board of directors, talk with a couple of people that I trust, a past director of our series, and just get all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed before we clue him in that we're on to the fact that this fish was caught on a boat. And then I have to go back and check timestamps, but I believe it was Saturday night, I want to say. Someone else on Facebook, just some random guy, reached out to my angler who finished second in that event, and told them basically, you actually won. This guy cheated. He was doing all this, this, and that. And I want to say, like, this is this guy saying that, telling my angler that Jake had cheated. Because at that point, I wasn't willing to say he cheated. I was just saying he broke this rule. He, whatever. And then that's where we got a hold of the now famous picture of the cut up kayak on the back of the boat. So this guy, I believe it was somebody who goes by WSJ Outdoors on Facebook, just randomly reached out to my angler and sent that picture to him, in addition to the side by side that everybody's showing around of that that fish on the board and on the boat, like that. And at that point, I reached back out to Josh from PA Bass Nation, showed him what I got, explained everything, and at that point, he brought in Adam, who I guess is his assistant director with PA Bass Nation. And
Milstead? Is that who you're talking to?
What?
Adam Milstead?
What was that?
You said he brought in Adam, but you didn't say a last name. Adam who?
Yeah, I never actually spoke to Adam, but he, this other guy, Josh Sims, brought him into the loop and told him what was going on. Mentioned to me that Adam might do something with us on YouTube, and asked if I'd be okay talking to him. And I said, sure, fine. That was Saturday. And then Sunday morning, I guess Adam just went ahead and did it and stayed up all night and edited and put everything together. And Sunday morning, one of my friends sent me the link to the video. So I didn't know it was going to drop like that. But at that point, the cat was out of the bag and evidence was out there. Went ahead and officially removed him fully from our tournament, and took the standings offline for a couple hours while we got everything together. And I believe around maybe 2:00 in the afternoon or so on Sunday, I got a friend request from Jake Houseman on Facebook. I accepted because I kind of knew he was going to reach out to try to either argue or admit it. And about 10 minutes after I accepted the friend request, I got a Facebook message from him. That's the screenshot that I shared with I sent it to Dwayne.
I got it. I
sent it to everybody that asked me for it. I sent it to. And
how about you read that for us? So those, because this is an audio podcast, not everyone sees it as live.
He came right out of the gate, said, "Hi, John. I just wanted to reach out and tell you that I'm terribly sorry for cheating in your online event back in June for NYKBF. I understand my apology will never be accepted, and I'm fine with that. My actions were unacceptable, and I'm happy to receive a lifetime ban from all tournament trails across the country. I was wondering if I could send back the money I won so you could properly distribute it to the rightful winners." I didn't say anything. I just responded with our PayPal payment address. And then he went ahead and sent another message back. Do you remember what that total was? I had you pay my wife's PayPal, so I don't have access to see it.
The punchline.
Yep. I sent it. I said just $200. He responded with a thumbs up emoji. Then a few minutes later, 20 minutes later or so, it looks like, he said, sent the money. And at that point, I said, money received. This will conclude our contact with each other. Do not attempt to contact me or NYKBF again. You're hereby banned from any NYKBF or ESKA competition for life. And that was the end of our interaction with each other.
$200.
Yep.
$200. Now, in the articles, I think Wired to Fish said he actually gave the reason why he did it, and it was simply for the likes, for the comments,
That
for
was
the growth on social media.
I brought that up with the guy from Wired to Fish, and basically told him that he, in the article, he wrote it as I said that, but I explained it to him as it was told to me by the director from PA Bass Nation. I didn't actually hear him say that. And I didn't. You saw our entire conversation right there. Those two screenshots were the entire interaction between me and him. So the director from PA Bass Nation is the one that told me that when they were questioning him, when they were talking to him about this, that he said, "I don't really care about any of this stuff. I just do it for the social media clout." So that was, they used that in there, made it seem like I said that, but that was something that I had heard and was just kind of telling them. To give them an idea. But when his pictures came in June, I graded a couple. Someone from my grading team graded a few. So it wasn't like one of us just saw it and immediately rubber stamped anything. We had a conversation with it between us and the people that grade fish about, like, these seem off. Like that cheap little Walmart kayak on the St. Lawrence doesn't seem right. But if anybody knows the St. Lawrence, the submissions were coming in from Lake of the Isles, which is basically a small lake inside of an island on the St. Lawrence River. It connects to the river. You can paddle and boat between the lake and the river pretty easily, but in that small little lake inside that island, it's totally conceivable that you could fish out of a $200 Walmart kayak. It can be totally fine. We've had anglers in the past, when they catch a big fish, they go to shore and take a picture just how he did, standing over it.
I was going to ask you about
they want to make sure that they get a good picture.
And I imagine for safety.
And at that point, I kind of like, yeah. I didn't have any proof that anything was wrong. It seemed a little fishy. And I guess the only thing I could have done maybe differently is call him at that time and just ask him point blank if he was fishing from a kayak. But if he was willing to do all the things that he did to do this, he would have 100% just said, "Oh yeah, man, I was fishing from my kayak." Yeah. He would have just lied right to me. Like, there would have been he wasn't going to admit to it at that point. So, he was flogging in shallow water. That's the story I heard too. I see a comment just pop up.
There's a flogger on that boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
There it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
So
is this weird? Doesn't it look like that shirt is a completely different
It's different
shirt
It
than the
is,
one
yeah,
he's wearing
that's-
here?
So yeah,
So
he
he's
and,
literally changed clothes.
he switched clothes.
The guy, myself and the guy from PA Bass Nation actually talked about that. And he was also he was there on the exact opening day of bass season in that area. There's, in all of New York State, you can bass fish year round except for 2 counties, and they border the St. Lawrence River. He was there on the exact opening day of bass season, which in my part of New York, I live near Buffalo. The tournament series I run primarily works out of central New York. And primarily by June 15th, most of our fish are off beds, but on the St. Lawrence and June 15th, those fish are just getting onto their beds there because it's so much farther north than us.
Wild. Changing clothes. So
that would prove that it's that same fish was scored twice in that event. I immediately, when I was sent that picture from Josh Sims, looked at that event that was still live and up. I just looked at all the photos, I saved them, and I was like, dude, there's this exact same fish just scored twice in this event. And again, that's an oversight on obviously the judges, but in the picture of the exact same fish, it's 2 different sleeves, 2 different clothes. So that including the green one, he's in the bass boat, including the green one, which he didn't even bother to change out of the green one that was in the picture of the bass boat. And then there's one photo, he's got another shirt laying in the floor of his kayak. How many of us drop your shirts and just lay them in the bottom of your kayak, which is where all the water is, in a sit inside kayak? Who just throws it there? It's like,
well, Drew, I know someone that's fished with him in a boat before, and they specifically stated to this gentleman, he's actually in the chat right now, but they stated to him that he changes clothes. And this is when they started pulling away from this guy, like, this dude's crazy, that he changes clothes after he catches a fish. Yeah, right here it is. He changes clothes intentionally, turns one fish into 2 to 3 hero shots, puts different baits in the fish's mouth, and then advertises on Instagram that he's how he's caught them. And they specifically stated that they saw this individual doing that, and he asked them not to say anything just because he wants to get the clout on Graham and reach these sponsors. And if you notice, he caught a 2 large smallmouth, like over 20 inches on one glide bait recently, I think, if you look back through his photos. So it just raises a lot of questions, right?
Yeah, I was like, man, I said, hey,
he caught him on a Ned rig and he hooked him to a glide bait. So.
Yeah. It's like very interesting how this guy, this is what he's about, showing off big fish, right, on his social platform. Okay. Sure. We all like to follow those kind of guys. Then why is there no picture of a green kayak anywhere of these giant smallmouth bass? And then that's when I was like,
I'm proud of my sun dolphin. If I catch anything out of that orange piece of crap, I'm telling the world about it. Yeah, 100%. Chad, you raised your hand while John was talking. So take us back to what was that moment.
I just didn't want it to get too far down the road because, again, I've been harping on this for 5 years now, and a lot of people have called me crazy. So this is my little bit of moment of like, but anytime somebody fishes out of, enters a fish where they're not in the kayak, which I do allow, and I get a lot of flack from it. People saying you should have to be in the kayak. I'm like, bro, if you're fishing in a river and you're floating down the river trying to take a picture and you're not paying attention where you're going, that's a good way to put an angler in a strainer and end up killing somebody. Oh, well, they could wedge on the bank. You don't river fish. You just proved it. Shut your mouth hole. So we allow people to take a picture that way. But anytime somebody submits a fish photo out of the boat, they're automatically getting me a text message from me. Okay, shoot me your release video. And then with the release video, I'm going to get them filming the fish. Here it is, releasing it, and then go back to the board, which is how we do our release videos. So then it precludes that whole, like, you're not actually fishing in a kayak. Had a dude try to do this 5 or 6 years ago where somebody caught him where he would bank fish but drive around with a kayak in the back of his truck, and he would jump in the kayak and take the photo. But he had at least a whole kayak. And in my opinion, he was actually fishing at a disadvantage because I'm like, well, if the guy kicked your ass fishing off the bank and you're in a kayak, but he was just driving from spot to spot. But even still, that was the genesis of, okay, we got to figure out a way to make sure we do this. And we started requiring release videos. And, Jody's fished pretty much every KBF event for as far as I can remember. And he'll tell you, we first introduced it kind of like it's voluntary. Hey, do this as a CYA. If I ask for it and you don't got it, sorry, I can't help you. Then it turned into it's mandatory, but I'm only going to ask for it if I need it. Then it turned into, and I can tell you 3 times in big events where having that release video has covered the angler who was accused of cheating, who wasn't cheating's butt, right? Like somebody saying, oh, he gave the fish to somebody else after he caught it when I've got the release video. So again, it's one of those things where I really wanted to bring it up. In addition to that, people who don't care about fish will sit there taking a fish picture 5 times with different shirts. And just another little thing that my spidey senses go off on is if you look at that photo, he's got his finger in the gill plate. So right off the gate, that fish would have got DQ'd by KBF because he's got his finger in the gill plate. But it's just indicative of people who just don't care about the rules, which means they overlook the little stuff. And then 99% of the time, they're arrogant. And because of that, they get careless and they overlook stuff. So when John texted me, hey, man, can I chat with you? I was like, sure. He's like, dude, I'm going to send you a couple text messages. I was like, holy crap. And I had already looked him up from Drew's tournament. When I heard the name and Jody called me and said, dude, you need to look this guy up. Actually, he said, dude, you need to look this guy up. I looked him up and I was like, yeah, he's never fished a KBF event. But I started watching and just started looking. And Austin actually went to his Instagram page after Jody called me because I was on speakerphone in my office and said, dude, I just looked that guy up. He's stunt fishing. I didn't even know what the hell that meant. I was like, what's stunt fishing? He's like, look, this fish is the same as this fish, the same as this fish. It's like Instagram chicks. They do the same thing. Yeah. They take a picture, they change clothes, they change angles, then they repost it weeks later thinking people are stupid. And I was like, oh, shit. So, yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to bring that up. If you're a tournament director, stop worrying about the anglers' backlash to you saying that they don't want to do a release video. Require the goddamn release video. It's the only thing we could do to protect the people who are doing the right thing. And if somebody gets accused of cheating and they got the video, you protected them from themselves, even when they're like belly aching, oh, I don't want to do a release video. It's not your job as a tournament director to be everybody's buddy. And if you can't be an asshole get out of being a tournament director, because you're going to have to at some point. If you want to be everybody's buddy, take up soccer coach or some shit. I don't know, but not tournament director. It's the most thankless job in the game. And sometimes you're just going to have to make people do stuff they don't want to do to protect them from themselves.
So what does a release video show you as a tournament director?
It shows me a lot of stuff that the angler doesn't know. For one,
right.
The health of the fish is the number one thing. The fact that the measuring board hasn't been modified, the identifier code, hasn't been manipulated, because we've had people in the past in the way back try to cheat by taking a picture with a blank identifier during pre-fishing and try to Photoshop in the identifier. So we get to see that. And then I'm just going to tell you, because I say this in a lot of things, it also tells us some shit I'm not telling you. It tells us, right? There's things we are looking for, and there's a certain way that I make you do it so that you're doing things that you will show me that you don't know you're showing me. The other thing it does is it gives me a release EXIF and a photo EXIF. So when you send me the release video, I go, oh, by the way, your release video EXIF doesn't match your photo EXIF. What's going on, Billy? What happened, Billy? How did that work out? You know what I'm saying? So again, it does a lot, and you cannot edit a photo and a video location exactly the same by cheating. Actually, I probably shouldn't say this, but here's what I'm going to tell you. If you do, that's indicative of the fact that you cheated, because you copied and pasted the location thinking you're smarter than anybody else, but there's no way you're going to get it exactly the same, because you didn't take the photo and the release video in the exact same position. So that's one of my little giveaway cheats that I shouldn't have said. But anyway, that's the stuff we're looking for with the release video. We're looking for the health of the fish, the fact that it swims away, the condition of the boat, certain cues like, is there live bait, scales, blood, things in the boat that we're not saying we're looking for, but we're looking for.
Yeah. So Wolf of Walmart had a comment here. He said, what if the fish flops off the board after pick? Because that happens to me a lot, because I'm terrible.
And you take a video that says, hey, my fish just flopped off the board. My bad. I'll do the best I can. And then we have to make a determination if there's any other factors involved. That's what happens there. Take a video of the water splash on the side that, man, I just lost my fish.
Susquehanna,
and pan around the boat so I know it's not on a stringer, and that there's nobody around that you handed it to. So, yeah.
Susquehanna State of Mind says, but I don't want everyone to see that 14-inch dink flopping around between my legs and stabbing me in the groin.
It's your video. Nobody's asking for a release video of 14 inches.
Oh, man. All right. So now we're going to shift gears, right? We're going to talk about what Jody Queen brought up a little bit ago. And now we're going to switch gears to, yes, our tournament directors are in it to win it, right? And everything they said is solid. So I appreciate you, Chad. I appreciate you, John. Appreciate you, Drew. And if you still have questions for them, please go ahead and throw that in the comment section. Seth will mark those, and we'll get back to those toward the end of the show. Now let's move our focus of conversation around tournament management systems, so TMSs. In the kayak fishing world, there's really two. You got Fishing Chaos, you got TourneyX. A lot of these, actually all of them that we're talking about tonight, were all done on TourneyX. I'm not incredibly familiar. The only time I utilize TourneyX is with the Kayak Adventure Series, Drew, when we were in Springfield. And I liked it. But I primarily use, because I fish KBF tournaments and the monthlies and KBF Nationals, Fishing Chaos. So that's the one I'm most familiar with. And at the KBF Nationals, during the captain's meeting, Chad was walking through some of the things that actually it's very pertinent to our conversation tonight when we're talking about being out of bounds, when we're talking about kayaks on boats. So I wanted to piggyback on what Jody was saying and wanted to give Chad the stage to talk about at least what Fishing Chaos is doing. And maybe, Drew, you can help us to see what TourneyX is doing. Chad, you have the floor first.
Okay, so I didn't know you were about to go to the whole positive thing. I got one more negative thing to say.
I
wanted to do a vocabulary lesson real quick for everybody before we move on. So there's a word cheater, okay, and then there's this word thief, okay. If you are a cheater, you are a thief, because you are trying to steal money from other people who deserve it. Yeah. So it's not a big surprise to me that this cheater was also a thief, because every cheater is a thief. Maybe not every thief is a cheater, but every cheater is a thief, period. You are stealing money from people who rightfully deserve to win it. So let's call it what it is. If you're a cheater, you are a thief. And 12 years ago, I had to modify my rules to say that I could publicly say something about somebody if they did something wrong, so I didn't have to worry about getting sued. So when you acknowledge that you're signing up per the KBF rules, you're acknowledging that if you cheat in my tournament, I'm going to call you a cheater and I'm going to call you a thief. And if you want to go to court, we can go to court. I got an ironclad little agreement that you signed when you signed up. So just want to make it clear. If you're a cheater, you are also a thief. It just so happens this cheater is actually also a thief extra. He's a kayak thief.
Yeah. Stealing money, you're stealing our time, our energy that, again, you've robbed so many of the anglers in this KES already. My time, my family. I feel like whatever you got, John, that admission, I feel like we need an apology. My wife, my kids, like everything I've freaking been through with this guy. I feel like I need an apology in KES and every tournament and club that we all need an apology. Honestly, it's what I feel like, but whatever.
And he's still in that credit. He's still in that credit, that accolades, that adoration, all the things he was trying to get. He's stealing it from the person that rightfully should have gotten it. Anyway. All right. So one of the things that I've been really, 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 really pushing hard is this, trying to improve the things that we can do to stay ahead of cheaters. As these people think of the next thing, we're out ahead of them, like with the release video. One of the things that I've really struggled with is the out of bounds fishing, right? Because you can go out of bounds and you can catch the fish, then you can go back in bounds and take the photo and submit the photo. So even if the submission software catches the photo location and the submission location, or either or both, you can still kind of cheat that. So I started talking to Fishing Chaos about, like, there's got to be ways with things like Strava and some of these apps that show like where you're running and where you're walking and all that, we track location. And they took this up for the cause, 3 or 4 years ago. And we've used it in some beta tests, and I've alluded to on other podcasts and video. Hey, we got some stuff that like other people don't, but I've talked about those bank movies, the movies where they're robbing the bank and they're all like in the room and they're planning the robbery and they're like, all right, Bill, you've got comms. And he's like, you got cameras. And then they got the chick in the, like, in the yoga pants that's going to do the like bend back thing to get past the lasers and all that, which in this case, I guess would be Seth. Right. So you've got this whole thing where they're sitting there planning out the robbery, but they're planning out the robbery because the bank has advertised what all of its security protocols are. So they know what they are to get around them. I've not wanted to advertise what all the security protocols are so that you don't know which ones
exactly
you're trying to get around. So for example, and again, this is not throwing shade on anybody. This is just saying the extent and the links that we've been going to. So I just did this around the KBF HQ for the event, and we're going to act like this is a dam. Let's just say that this was the boils in question here. Right?
Can you share? Can you keep in mind that people are going to be listening to this, Chad? I know you're showing it, but walk us through. Yeah.
So basically, what we did is we just set a perimeter, and this is the bridge right by the KBF headquarters. But we just set a perimeter there, and we could actually set multiple ones. We could set one that's a warning perimeter that says if you get within this thing, you get a warning. But if you cross into this one, then it's a DQ, and you can set the distance and everything, right on the app. And then just for test purposes, this was where the check-in was required. And I'll zoom in on it a little bit. And I had one of the guys when he got there early, and I just screenshotted it. So that's the headquarters of the event. So I set the perimeter around it, and it shows you the angler and their name inside of that perimeter. So if that person was over here fishing inside that perimeter that was out of bounds, it would notify you that they fished out of bounds. You would see the fact that they were fishing out of bounds, and it would track their system that they entered that out of bounds range. And so that, to me, is one of the things that all tournament management systems that are going to play in this space for CPR over the next few years are going to have to invest in making something that could happen. One of the side benefits of this thing is that after these accidents started happening, the bigger tournaments started asking for speed tracking. That way they could set a speed limit. So here's an example of when I tracked Austin, just as an example, and the speed is right here at the bottom. So I can set a speed limit, and if you exceed that speed limit, I get a notification and you get DQ'd from the event. So we could say during a tournament, after 7 o'clock, the speed limit or the launch time, the speed limit is this. And if you exceed that speed limit, I can go in and look at it live and go, okay, he's still driving to the spot because he overslept. But if you're on the water in a kayak going 14 miles an hour or 30 miles an hour or 35 miles an hour, it's Houston, we got a problem. So to me, those are the types of measures that unfortunately we're going to have to move towards. But more than just the cheater part, what it really started off as is a safety thing. When we lost Rebecca back on Toledo Bend, it sucked. But we had to drive around to boat ramps until we found her car. And then by the time we did that, then, Jamie Broad and a couple of other people launched and went out looking. And it was like midnight that night before we found her. And she was floating next to her kayak, right? That kid that we just lost on Toledo Bend. Nobody knew where he was at. So there was a delayed amount of time into getting to that person. So if someone doesn't come back and you've got an ability to see their last location, it serves as a major safety a safety improvement for these tournament management system apps. So the ability for anglers to opt in for tracking, in my opinion, should be optional for about another year and a half, but we should be tracking towards making that mandatory. That way, at any given time, a tournament director can look and say, hey, this person's out of bounds. You can screenshot it, or you can just click on their name and flag them, or you can set a perimeter, and if they exceed that perimeter, it automatically locks out their account and says, sorry, you went out of bounds. You are now DQ'd from the event. Contact the tournament director to be reinstated. And then you've got data, you've got accuracy, you've got all the things that you need to protect the integrity of catch, photo, release. And here's the thing, man. This is not just for the cheater, because here's what happens. Anybody that does well is automatically a cheater in not just kayak fishing, but any tournament. When Russ Snyder starts winning, oh, he's got to be cheating. Because people who don't put in the time, effort, energy, you know what I mean, and experience, they let themselves off the hook by saying, oh, if that guy's beating me like that, he must be cheating. They called Drew a cheater at the third national championship because they said, oh, there's no way he's catching smallmouth that big. I went to Drew and said, dude, where were you fishing? Because we didn't even have like location like as good as we do back then. He said, this is where I was fishing. So we go on Google Maps and I'm like, how in the hell could you paddle there from the river? He said, well, I didn't, but you can. So I had to go out there and do it. We don't have to do that stuff anymore. We got technology that can prove all that stuff now. And so for me, this is like imperative that we move down the road of holding our technological partners accountable for moving forward with the times. And there's so much open source stuff out there now that you can do it with. It's not like there's an excessive amount of coding or development that I don't think you have to do because it's available. You know what I mean? And again, I'm trying to sound like I know I don't know what the hell I'm talking about when it comes to all that, but it sounds good. And that's what I learned from ChatGPT. Let me rephrase that. So it doesn't seem like it's that hard.
But question for you, Chad. You said why would you say make it optional for 2 years if we have the tech now and it helps solve these problems?
Because I don't know if everybody does have it now. And we have to listen, man, I've been in this game a long time. This community is very adverse to change. So you kind of have to have like an adoption period. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Your early adopters are most likely going to be the people that aren't cheating. And when you don't want to adopt it, you put yourself on a list where I go, I'll be watching your ass. So I just think that it's one of those things that we have to move towards. You know what I mean? And honestly, there's an expense associated with it, and you can't expect, Fishing Chaos to develop it for free and give it away yet. You can't expect Tourney X to just overnight develop it if they don't have it yet. And listen, social media has Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all the things, right? And we're going to have that in catch, photo, release as popular as it's getting over the next 10 years. Right now, we're very blessed with 2 really good platforms, but there's going to be more. Like, make no mistake about it. There's going to be other tournament management apps that come in. And if we don't have a standard that says this is the minimum you need to be able to offer to tournament directors to protect all of their anglers from the other anglers, both to protect their integrity if they didn't cheat. And just so you guys, I'm clear on this. I care more about protecting the angler who doesn't cheat, who gets accused of it, than I do catching the cheater. Because the angler who does really well, who gets accused of cheating, happens all the time, and the cheater happens very, 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 very seldom. Like Jody said in the beginning, you know, KDF's done 693 tournaments other than state challenges, like over the years. No cheaters. The closest thing we came to cheaters is when Jay Wallen did the Open one year and entered a duplicate fish on accident. And then the next year when Tourney X implemented the timestamps, people went back looking at the previous year and said, oh my God, it's the same timestamp for the same fish. And then Jay happened to have his photo album still saved and said, oh, I had a different fish. I just entered the same fish twice, because when you go to your photo album, it's hard back then, especially, to not grab the wrong photo. So he had two fish that was the same size with different timestamps. He just entered the wrong one. But other than that, the threat of public declaration, and Drew, I will encourage you to adopt that into your rules. That is the biggest deterrent, because the cheater is not cheating for money. They're cheating for the trophy and the accolades. So the last thing they want is what happened to them that John's doing right now, which is the tour day feces. They're doing the tour around all the platforms, shitting on your name.
Yeah.
Sure. So we know that Fishing Chaos has angler, I believe they call it angler track and boundary setting. Drew, I don't expect you to be you don't own Tourney X, right? But do you happen to know anything that they may be working on that's similar?
I don't really know. I just know that, just having those pins where they're submitted, like in this situation, like we have the GPS coordinates that we were able to prove inside 100 feet just with those. So that was good enough. But I don't know about continuous tracking or anything that Dwayne and those guys might be working on. I'm not sure. But like you guys said, I think this is so slim this actually happens, because here's why. Like, I just think that people think it's more rampant than it is, because there's more technology now. Like Chad said, there's more data out there that people, they're not, and like Chad said, I'm not going to reveal all the stuff that actually helps you figure out ways that you could possibly maybe even try to circumvent the system. I'm not going to do that. We're smart enough to hold that stuff back. You have no clue on this planet how much is being tracked, how many cameras are out there, how much metadata, what's literally there's so many ways you can get caught. And because we're incentivizing the filming, I saw someone had a comment that asked if we're going to start requiring, GoPros. We're not quite there yet with requiring the filming, but we are there where we're going to go heavier next year on incentivizing it. Maybe even just pay deeper into the field where the winner doesn't get quite so much of a big, we actually do a pretty good job already going 20. Thanks, Seth. Going 20, paying the top 20% of the field. We might even go deeper next year. Maybe the winner doesn't get, and again, you guys already acknowledged it's not the amount of money that they're really cheating for, but that could be a part of it. They might say, dude, it's just not even worth it. We're trying to incentivize the filming, which proves, right? Like Chad said, the release videos and all that. This is even more. This is literally the whole cast to catch. What isn't it? What could anyone say then, right? So that's the whole thing, is there's more data and more proof now and ways to catch people trying to do this, and they don't know that, and that's why they're dumb. They think they can keep doing it, but you will get caught. So it's actually not that it's happening more, it's that we're just catching it now, and so it's coming to light, and of course the internet does its thing, and then more people see this. Guess what? It's going to get slimmer and slimmer and slimmer and slimmer, and to where there's, and think about it, even sports like golf at the PGA Tour level, when your ball's in the rough and the rough's 6 inches deep, could you not just nudge your ball and give yourself a better lie and nobody would have a clue? Of course. Your other competitors aren't right by you. The cameras are on every ball. Our sport, if you're filming with a GoPro or an action camera continuously, which is not that hard, get a Nocqua battery pack, boom, you're set all day long, 256 gigabyte card. We would be more legitimate than professional PGA Tour golf, where they're playing for millions and millions of dollars, because you can prove cast to catch all my fish right here. Boom, done. So I think we're better than people are making it out to be.
No, I agree. Hesitation on making it a requirement, Drew.
On the filming of the GoPro or
release videos?
The release videos, we can certainly, this is the time of year, as you guys know, we talk about these things with the rules and all that. I'm trying to think now, like in any situation where this would have helped us so far. I mean, it's not a bad thing. I think what Chad's saying, like it could, like if you have the GoPro footage, then you don't need the cell phone release video. You got that footage, right? And I'll be honest with you,
or redundancy.
Most all of our anglers that have won or done well, they actually have been recording, so it's worked. We are able to prove this guy. Like look at Alex Miller. He caught 106 inches of smallmouth bass, and the next place person down had like low 90s, second place, right, at broodstock. How many people would have cried foul or claimed cheater at that tournament in the past, right? With that discrepancy. Guess what? He had his GoPro running the whole time. It cleared up his name, and any questions from us that we didn't catch something or miss something about his fish, he had it all right there. So I think it's just we're going to incentivize it so heavily that you're almost going to be like a raised eyebrow, like if you're not filming, like, because why would you not want the extra money? Why would you not want that? And also, not a lot of people are cheating because to cheat, all that matters is if you win, right? If you cheat and you got 30th place, you're not in the money. Okay, maybe you bump somebody down one AOY point or whatever. Who cares? But it doesn't matter. That's not getting you anything. You have to continually win and be like top 5 in the money. Those fish are getting scrutinized even more and more. So what I would say on the release videos, maybe it's like Chad was saying, maybe it does become, if we ever do it, the big fish over a certain number of inches that matter, like that's going to matter. Maybe it's just on those. So if you're not filming with a GoPro, you need to release video on fish 17 and up. So we start there maybe. I don't know. But
the only downside to the GoPro is there's a data block. You have to pull that footage. You have to sit down and review it. And trying to do that at an award ceremony sucks. I can have a guy walk up to me and say, show me a release video of this fish, and this fish. He can open up his phone. And I can do it during the tournament. Hey, man, send me your release video right now. And here's what people have to understand. The release video isn't just about the release video.
Right.
It's about the deterrent. We sell aircraft carriers to other countries to let them know how big our goddamn guns are. Not because we're going to use them, but to say, this is what we can shove up your ass if we need to. So then we don't have to. So the release video is the Dirty Harry make my day, right? But what I learned this year is there were 2 or 3 people that did, even high-level guys. I'll call one of them out, Casey Reed, took a picture in haste, and then he submitted it, and his damn identifier was up on the top of the photo, and it got cut out. And then his release video showed the identifier. So this year during the off season, when we do our review, we're requiring the release video. Well, if I'm going to require you to do the release video and it can help you make your case, then I'm going to let that release video be good enough to prove that you had the identifier in the photo. So if I say, hey man, your 17.5-inch fish doesn't have identifier in it, send me that video. Then I look at the EXIF data from that 17.5 for the photo and the video, and they're within a minute or 2 of each other, then I can see the identifier. I'm like, cool, your fish is accepted. So it serves the purpose of making people show that the fish swam away healthy, that it wasn't dead, that it wasn't attached to a dock, and again, I didn't even want to say all this stuff, but the release video is just like early on when I declared the mouth rule and nobody else wanted to do it. Everybody hated the open mouth rule, but I had a guy that was breaking the jaws to extend the fish's jaw out. And I didn't want to teach people, hey, you can break the jaw to make the fish longer until it was a universal rule, because if I didn't, I was educating the cheaters. So I didn't want to educate the cheaters. But the release video does a lot more, like I said, than just documents the catch. There's a lot of stuff that release video does that is beneficial to the sport. And again, once you've got your top 5, maybe video a cull fish, but you don't have to video 60 fish. You just got to video your best 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want to say, and it's kind of ironic that Jody's on here because we were talking about this. About 8 months ago, I used a deterrent. I used technology to get a guy to admit that he was wrong, and I was totally bullshitting him. I'll just be honest with you. So I had a claim that the guy was fishing without a PFD, but in the photo, you can't see the PFD. But another angler called me and said, hey, I saw this guy fishing without his PFD. He does it every time. As a sportsman, like you said at the award ceremony, I went up to him and said, hey, man, you need to be wearing your PFD. He told me to F off. So then I figured, well, shoot, I tried, so I'm going to let the tournament director know. So I called the guy, hey, are you wearing your PFD? He's like, yeah, I wear it every time I'm out. I said, are you sure? He said, yeah. I said, all right, well, listen, I got friends at TVA, and you're fishing by the dam. All I got to do is call them and get the video from the damn cameras, and then I can determine if you're wearing the PFD or not. That's the part where I said I was bullshitting. He was like, actually, man, I had it on the back of the seat, and I didn't think about it till later, so then I put it on. I'm like, so you were fishing without your PFD. I'm only saying this to say this. Integrity is more rampant in our sport than cheating is. And there's a gentleman on this video right now who called me during a tournament where he was in the lead after he caught 3 fish and pretty much knew that by calling and diming himself out, he was costing himself 10 grand. That gentleman's name is Jody Queen. And Jody called me. Remember this, Jody, from back at the 10?
Oh yeah, I remember.
He called me to like 11:30. He said, dude, man, I got to call you and fall on the sword. I said, why, what's up? He said, man, I've been out here. I caught 3 fish, and I just realized my PFD's on the back of my seat. He said, I just sit down in the boat. It was before daylight. Ain't no excuse, but I paddled out and I started fishing, and I just caught 3 fish and then realized, oh, shoot, I don't have my PFD on. And I said, well, Jody, I just want you to know that no PFD is not a DQ for like the fish, and you get to start over. That's like he's like, I know. I guess I'm fishing for fun. And you know what? Jody Queen is one of the most stand-up guys in this sport, which is why he's here on this video saying he did what he did.
Mm-hmm.
But there's more Jodys in this sport than there are Jake Hausmans.
Amen.
There's more Jodys by a factor of 1,000. There's more Drew Gregorys and John Tammaros and Mark Fainers, and the list goes on of people who are out there busting their ass to provide these opportunities for anglers to go fishing. And in many cases, they can't fish in it. You don't think Drew wants to be out on the water fishing? If you don't think that, you're out your damn mind. But instead, he's dealing with this bullshit to provide the opportunity for somebody else. He's exhibiting leadership. So we got to stop this narrative that everybody's cheating in kayak fishing tournaments. There's very few people that are cheating in kayak fishing tournaments. And the vast majority of them are the cheaters are thieves. And then this is also a synonym for stupid. They're so stupid that they post this stuff on social media. They're going to incriminate themselves because that's what they're fishing for. And because of their ego and their hubris and how much they think they are smarter than everybody else, they're going to slip up and post it on social media and incriminate themselves because they can't help themselves.
Yep.
All right, I got a few questions to kind of land this plane. And there are questions I should have probably asked in the middle of the show, but I'm like, hey, you know what? I got some of the best minds in kayak fishing here tonight. I'm going to ask them. So when I was reading through this, John, this kind of goes to you, Chad and Drew. I was just curious, looking back on it, should you have accepted the return of the money?
Return of what money? What's that?
The $200. Or any scenario. If someone cheated, like, oh yeah, take back my $10,000, I'm going to send it back to you right away. For tournament directors out there, retrospectively, would you have done the same thing again, or would you have made a different decision?
I mean, I probably would have taken the money back again. My club doesn't need the money. I could have just paid the guys out from what we've got, and not really even missed it. But he didn't earn it. He shouldn't get that. And in New York here, I didn't really mention this when I was talking earlier. We are exploring our options with fraud charges. For $200, it's not likely to be prosecuted. It's more likely to be put down to a parking ticket that doesn't show up on his record and not really worth anybody's time. But we are still exploring the options with that. And just because he returned the money doesn't mean he couldn't be found guilty of fraud. I've already gotten that clarified for me. So he admitted taking it under false pretenses, and just because he returned it after taking it falsely, he can still be prosecuted for it. But I would have taken the money back just simply. I'll do it. I mean, every time. This is the first time this ever happened in NYKBF before we had to do this. But anytime it happens again, I'll take the money back because you didn't earn it. You don't get to enjoy that. Other people get that money, not you. So if somebody, the first thing I was going to do was ask him for the money back, but he came out and volunteered on his own. So,
which seems weird. It's the reason I'm asking the question is by giving the money back, in the eyes of the law, get him off the hook in some way is what I'm trying to get to. John, you're saying no. Chad or Drew, any other scenarios, maybe different states, different laws?
Yes. In most of the states that I've run tournaments in, we preemptively plan for that if they try to return the money, that we don't accept it initially, because if restitution is made, it goes from a criminal offense to a civil offense. So I don't know that that's the case in New York, and John's going to know that way better than I do. What I would say is, if you find yourself in that situation, research it before you take the money back for the state that you're conducting the event in. But in cases like big events, like for me, we already have a plan where if they cheat and then we award the money, and then somehow or another it comes out later that they were, they cheated and they try to return the money, we have the money put into escrow with a lawyer, which then technically doesn't count for them returning the money to the tournament director. It says, I am giving this money over to this law firm in escrow until the final standings or final findings are adhered to. And then in which case, if we find them guilty, then we can still find them guilty and he hasn't made restitution. So just be careful in certain states, especially in the South, that you don't allow them to make restitution, because then they can actually get out of a lot of the criminal part. They say, I already made good. And then it just becomes a civil thing.
Drew, any thoughts there, or Jody, or anybody really?
Not really. I mean, I just want the proper outcome, even if it's a year or two later. If we find that someone premeditated, maliciously, whatever, intentionally cheated, we certainly at some point, I don't know the whole process, want to get it back and in the rightful hands of those who deserve it, for sure. And I quickly will just say, to someone made a comment, I'm walking around the release video question, just do it already. All I was said was, this literally just got brought up to me right here on the spot. This is the time of year.
I just asked him a question.
Chad, this is the time of year we review those rules. We will look into it, and maybe we do it, maybe we don't. I'm not walking around anything. I'm not saying I'm for it or against it. I got to look into it, do my due diligence. Same way I said I'm not going to go DQ Hausman just because Jody said he's inside 100 foot. I got to go research it. So give me a chance to go do that, and maybe I'll do it. It might be a great idea. So
now, Drew, do it now.
Do it now. Oh my God! Like, okay, and I do like the whole.
Right now.
Yeah, I do like the whole video, Rick. I mean, that's great. We've had full videos, which is even better than we get to show the actual cast to catch. But I mean, the release video as well. I like it too. We're going to talk about it. So we do it. But I don't want to. Here's the thing. There's too many barriers. If there's too many things, like you require a GoPro, you require release video, you require all this stuff, then you start in an intermediate level trail like mine, you start losing people that want to do it because there's like, this is too complicated. It's too much. And they just like, forget it. But it's something, we are at a level that the money is fairly significant, so it might be worth looking into. And it is not that hard. It's really not. To just, if you say 17 and up at this event, or at this event it's 18 and up, or whatever, then maybe, because it's not going to matter if it's small anyway, so we'll look into it, man. We'll look into it, Rich. I appreciate that.
But I do agree in incentivizing the full release video as well, because I think it was Mike Elsey one time, somebody said he was doing something and he had the video. We didn't have enough to say that he did it, but just by having the video, it was a very clear, I wasn't doing it. So then it was a big old cup of shut the hell up to the person who was trying to make the accusation. So.
Yeah, I just want to close by saying that, I've been doing this for a long time, and as tournament directors and as anglers, I want a tournament director who's on the up and up and who will go the extra length to make sure everybody is. It not only creates a safety net for the guys who are actually doing this and doing it the right way, but it also lets other anglers coming into the sport know that they can trust the guys they're fishing for. So kudos to Chad and Drew for doing the right thing. I mean, I really appreciate you guys and any other tournament anglers, tournament directors out there that are on the up and up and hold stricter rules in their tournaments because it protects all of us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
enforce the
100%.
rules. At the end of the day, when you enter a tournament, whether it's Chad, Steve Owens, whoever, all of the ones who run these things, at the end of the day, based on what Chad said, remember his rule about basically like their decision's final, right? Bassmaster has similar rules. So do we. It's kind of like the end of the day. I'm sorry if you disagree with us, but kind of like you signed up for this, so you're basically just trusting me with all that money, dude. Like all that. I don't know how. I was looking at the bank account. I have a separate bank account for the angler's entry fees. It goes in, it goes out with the checks right on stage, in, out. You're trusting me with all that money. First of all, you're trusting me. You're just literally believing in me, Chad, Steve, whoever, the guys at TKS, whoever you want to name. You're literally also just. It's not faith in KS. It's literally faith in me that I'm going to do the right thing. I'm not going to play favorites. And if you don't think I am, then you should not fish the tournament. But I think, what we've done and having people like everything is, so my master's degrees in sports management. I ran sports leagues for 5 years at the collegiate level before I even got into fishing industry for a living. And now I'm doing this. And I don't know if this is true, but I bet you that's more educational experience at a higher level than anyone that even works at Bassmaster or Major League Fishing for actually going to school for this, right? I am going to do everything by the book, cross my T's, dot my I's, have it all documented, all of it, okay, every bit of it, and I'm going to have someone with me like Jake Hepner was to be a witness and verify everything. So if you want to then, after all that, still try to like take legal action or do whatever, dude, have at it. Because we have it all here. I'm not going to DQ you willy-nilly just for no reason if I don't have the exact, and neither is Chad and neither is Steve Owens. So you got to trust us. That's who really you're putting your money and your faith in, that we're going to run a fair event. So I appreciate that, Jody.
Last question before we land this plane. This is really just a question I had, so I'm gonna ask it. So I'm gonna share my screen with you real fast. And this is really just a curiosity question to people who look at fish and has been fishing for a long time. This is the angler profile from Hausman. So what I'm looking at here, and it was hard to believe that for 2025, total verified fish was 156, but his average length was 20.18 inches. Does that throw remove Jacob Hausman's name, put anybody's name in there? Are there people who can do that for an entire year? Jody, Chad, Drew, or does this throw a flag when that number is so freaking high? Or it's like, hey, there are some hammers out there that can perform.
Well, it depends. If they're only entering tournaments, by and large, they're only entering their bigger fish.
Five fish, yeah, 100%.
You could have a higher average like that. It also could mean he's only entering certain tournaments where the higher catch average is up there. He's also not wearing his PFD, so that's the first thing that catches my attention. But the winning percentage is the part that's the craziest part. Like, that shit's like insanity, Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's insanity.
The smaller events that are just, you know what I mean? Like less people. I've seen people's tourney X's that look like that. I don't fish any of those like smaller like stuff. But I've seen certainly like Russ, for example, if he fished all that small stuff and whatever, his tourney X would look just
he'd be like
that.
99%, exactly,
and be legit. I mean, totally legitimate. He's just that good of an angler. But and there's people that are, but that is what raises a red flag. That's why I'm saying cheaters need to win for it to matter to them, right? And if they do, then this is going to be what their profile looks like, and then all the eyebrows get raised, all the looking into them, who they are, their background, their life, what they've done. I mean, in their past, dude, everything comes up, bro. Everything, every skeleton in your closet. If you want to win a few $100 or a few $1,000 in kayak fishing in any sport, you want to go be public and be this famous person, you're going to get looked into in every single part of your life, man. It's just the way it is, and you got to understand that.
Yeah, if he was fishing fork or OHIV, I'd be okay with that 20-inch average. But he's in New York, and there's no way. It'd throw up a red flag for me.
He's not even New York. He's a Pennsylvania angler. There's no way in hell you could do that legitimately in Pennsylvania.
No.
Yeah.
I want to say one last thing, so we don't, not necessarily have to be the last thing, but one last thing for me, so it doesn't go unsaid. We're talking a lot about tournament directors here, but by and large, when we're running tournaments, we have other people that are doing the judging, and we're out there doing the answering the phone calls and making the social posts, and we're doing that part of it. The unsung heroes of this thing are the judges, the people that give up their day to be sitting there on that screen, and they're looking at this same thing over and over again. So here's what I want to say, though. for everybody that's commenting on social media right now that there's no way that should have been missed by a judge has never been a judge. The reason that I know you've never been a judge, because if you'd ever been a judge, you would never make that statement, because you're human. You're dealing with hundreds, if not thousands of entries sometimes, and you're trying to make them decisions fast, and you're looking for certain things, and you can get tunnel vision. You're looking at the mouth, you're looking at the identifier, you're looking at the tail, you're not looking at the edge of the photo to see if the kayak cutout was in the side of it. Your brain is not even perceiving that. Mm-hmm. So for all of you guys out there that are clowns shitting on tournament directors, making these statements, or judges making these statements that like, there's no way I would have ever missed that, then you're basically just admitting you've never been a judge. You probably never will be, because you're an armchair quarterback that likes to talk about what other people do, but never do it yourself. Because if you are a tournament director or a judge, or you've ever been either one of them, you know better than to make those stupid ass statements, because you know in the heat of the moment, everybody can potentially make a mistake. So all you clowns out there that are basically shitting on the people that you think should have caught it in the photo, if you're not a judge and you've never been one, shut up. Shut up. Because you're wrong. It's just part of it. And you would have looked at that photo 4,000 times, and then now all of a sudden, because somebody pointed it out to you and told you what to look for, then all of a sudden it's a problem. It's like the people Saturday morning after the dude did a mass shooting. Oh, yeah, I always knew something was wrong with him. Oh, you know now, but you didn't say anything before. It's the same thing. Judges 100%. Are the hardest working people in this game, the least thankless. I mean, even Drew and I and John and tournament directors, we at least get like somebody walking up to us saying, hey, man, thanks. You don't know who the judge was back there in the damn room,
right,
or sitting at home in front of the computer for hours and hours and hours. So stop shitting on the judges. They they work their butt off to provide an opportunity for you.
100%. Appreciate it. Closing comments. Drew, anything close that with?
Perusing through the comments. Yeah, people are talking about what about camera issues and whether high summer periods where they overheat or something can happen. It's like, yeah, that's why I'm not saying I'm going to ever require. That's the argument against, like, why would you not require everyone to run an action camera the entire time? Because things malfunction like that. That could never be something that you could do. Otherwise, what? You drove all the way from Missouri to Pennsylvania to fish this tournament, and all of a sudden your whole event, your whole weekend, everything's ruined just because your camera, it rained and your camera got fried or whatever. Like, of course not. So that's why we can't. But that's why the thing is to just incentivize it so heavily, right? And that way, if it works, you brought it there, you work, you get the benefits and the rewards of filming, the extra money or whatever the incentive is for next year. So you guys are making great points in the comments. But yeah, I just want to say thanks to everyone for, just all the support. I mean, because by and large, right, after this event and everyone, there's like literally probably one or two people that maybe still even have any inkling that, or thinking that we possibly did anything, out of the right order or whatever, the right way. But hopefully now it's all put to bed. But everyone has been like, dude, this is what tournaments needed. Like, people that are actually like enforcing the rules, who are there, like, with the format, with the cameras and everything. We're trying to not catch. They're not there so we catch people cheating. They're there for lots of reasons. It happens that it does, but it's to share your adventures with us on that theaters, on the stage, on social media. Let's grow the sport, make it awesome. And you get an incredible memory out of it too, right? That awesome catch that you had happen. There's so many people this year I saw that would not have been filming if it wasn't for our format and the incentive to film. And now they are like so ecstatic. They have these memories on cameras that we're only on this planet once. That's it, man. And then, it's not even that long. It's going to go like that. So this is what it's about. These friendships, this camaraderie, these moments. Let's continue to make, whether it's KBF, Bassmaster, TKS, KAS, all these local clubs, let's continue to push the positive narrative and grow the sport and get more people into it. Because it's a fun, like, cool puzzle challenge. Like, we've created something that's so cool and so fun. And our veterans, Chad being one, would be rolling in their graves if they knew that they fought so hard and died for that we can have the freedom we have today, and that we don't have to, like, we're not out every day making sure we have shelter and food and water and all the basic human needs. They work so freaking hard. They would be rolling over in their grave if they knew that we're so blessed that we're actually out there catching fish, not even to eat them, to just let them go and have some fun in a tournament, that somebody out there is taking advantage and cheating on something like that, they would just be like, God, man, that just pisses me off so much that they went and fought so hard for us on Veterans Day and did all that, and that this is what we're doing with that freedom. That's so messed up, man. But anyway, I appreciate all you guys for all the support, and everything has been so positive. Everyone's excited to go to KS now because they trust that we're going to enforce the rules, and that just right there speaks volumes.
I'll close with this. I just want to give a shout out to John for being stand up and doing the right thing and all your due diligence, dude. I think you might have brought this to a close, and it's just kudos, man. I'm glad you were there and the right person at the right time to get it done. Also, hey, Chad, brother, happy Veterans Day, man. Thank you for your service. And last of all, I am not deterred at all from entering the next tournament. Drew, I will see you in Tallahassee. I'll be on the Harris chain for TKS. I'll be on the Kissimmee chain for bass, and I'll be fishing all of the online tournaments, the KBF Challenge Series. It does not deter me one bit, and I have complete confidence in the system we have. It's just getting better and better, and I hope everybody that wants to get in this sport goes ahead and gets into it, because they're going to be happy with it in the long run. This is not the norm. This is an exception.
Yeah, and it's my hope that it's my hope that we all learned a little something, maybe even developed a little bit more trust in what's going on behind the scenes with tournament directors, how they are looking out for us, what these tournament management systems can do, and even the things that we're not sharing tonight. That is going to be a major deterrent moving forward. It could be more difficult, and eventually we get to the point where we're just going to edge them out.
Yeah.
But the good news is we have guys like Drew, guys like John, guys like Chad Hoover, guys like Jody out there fishing these tournaments who are looking out for us. So a big, wild thank you to all of y'all for your time tonight, for your insight, for the years of work that you've done in promoting the sport we all love and care about. I am going to be organizing a blacklist. That's got to be my takeaway. I'm going to work with Chad, work with Drew, and I'm going to hold that and kind of start working with reaching out to tournament directors and just kind of getting that going. I think that's a really great idea and be pretty easy to do. And that's a wrap. That was a banger for show. You guys are freaking awesome. Thank you for listening in. We had 201 time. If you haven't done so yet, hit that like button so we can get this rocking and rolling on YouTube after the event. But show up next week to the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We're going to have Fluke Master on. Going to be a good time. Thank y'all. You have a good one.
See you guys.